Hi folks, Marty here, and what I have for you today is an interesting little project, and it's basically about the practical side of art. There's just sometimes you just need to use art in a way that other than hanging it on your wall. And basically, I do a lot of reading, and so does the friends and family. So today what I'm going to do is something really practical. I'm going to do an autumn scene, but I'm going to be turning them into bookmarkers, okay? So as you see from the pictures, how I've laid it all out, I basically cut out the size that I wanted, and you'll see on the screen, it's 1.5 inch this way by 6.5 this way, okay? And the reason why it's so thin is because I plan to do something a wee bit different. I know there's people that would use cold wax or even varnish just to seal in the painting or the work that you've done afterwards. But I always liked the whole laminate side of things, so I'm going to do that today. So I basically marked these all out. So I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9.5, or else a broad one, okay? And I'm going to go with this length here. Normally the standard size for a bookmarker is 2 inches wide, but because I'm going to laminate it, I'm going to have a bit of a margin with the laminate, which is going to hopefully seal. So this is a bit of an experiment for me. I haven't done this before. I was wanting to do something interesting and something practical as well. Okay, and then, so it's either 6, 7 or 8 lengthwise. I'm going to go with this one because it'll fit into most books then, and I don't have any tassels as yet. I'm going to wait till afterwards, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so basically I've sketched this all out. I've kind of been thinking about these as individual units. So when I've put in my trees and stuff, I've made sure that every bookmarker is going to be a standalone. It's not going to be some odd, obscure, abstract looking thing, although that's not always a bad thing either. But for me, I wanted to have a tree in here. And you can either do silver birch. If you want to learn how to do silver birch, you can watch one of my other videos on that and then come back and treat this the same way, or else we can just do this a brownie colour. So I've started off with pencil just to get the outline right. Feel free to copy that or pencil outline. Then I spotted some masking fluid, okay, and that's going to be for my copper coloured leaves and so on. And then what I did was I got an ink pen, and it's waterproof ink obviously, and then I basically tightened up the lines, got them a bit more accurate, a bit more straighter. Obviously I couldn't rub the pencil off at this stage because I would only lift off the masking fluid, but I'll do that later on. I'll rub that out at the end, as long as I can just concentrate on staying roughly within the lines. It doesn't have to be exactly within the lines. You can keep it nice and loose to that extent. But what we're going to do now is we're going to treat this like a landscape painting. We're going to do a background on this. That's going to be very loose, no detail at all. We're just going to throw in a few colours. And who knows, we might put a bit of salt on it just to create a bit of an effect. And then what we'll do is we will put our trees in next. So we'll put them in nice and dark. And then when they're dry, we'll take the masking fluid off, and then we'll start adding a bit of detail. So lots of interesting things to do in this little painting today. Definitely one worth checking out, or having a go at anyway. Okay, so brushes, roughly speaking, I'm going to use a mop and a number 6 or a number 8, and maybe a wee rigger. But sometimes I dip in and out of different brushes, but that's roughly what I'm going to use, so don't hold me to it. I have about 20 brushes sitting beside me here, and sometimes I just hook in and out of them just to find something that works for me. Okay, so we're going to try and use a very limited palette today, and with these winter scenes, what we've been using lately is our blue, red and yellow, and we're going to try and stick that as best we can. So I'm using cobalt blue, I'm using lemon yellow, and a cad red. So I'm hoping this can give me all the colours that I need. And I'm going to use a bit of gouache as well, actually. White gouache. What that will do is it'll allow me to make things a bit more opaque. So obviously you can try this with your own colours. Don't be a slave to what I'm showing you. Okay, so I'm grabbing a wee bit of yellow there and putting a wee bit of white in it because I want this to be, and a wee touch of red. I want this to be like a creamy colour. This to be like a warm winter sky, if that makes any sense. And then I'm going to drop in a bit of blue. So I'm kind of mixing these colours up beforehand, okay? And it doesn't make sense because you can't see my palette on the screen. And then what's always good to do is give your page a wee spray. And then you can just use a wee spritzer like that. Keeps it all nice and soft and whatnot. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to start dropping colour in stuff, and it's all a wee bit of splash. And so just remember, try to treat every one of these little panels as a standalone. Try and think of it, if you had this and it was just an individual bookmark, would it be complete within itself? Okay, so now I'm going to go into the blue and I'm going to throw a bit of blue up around the top of that, make it look like there's some sky. So see the way I'm just slapping that on there, not being too fussy about it, you know. And then I'm just letting that all run and bleed in there. Maybe a wee bit darker. Okay, so we're going to bring it down into the background here. Just then I'm going to make up a bit of a purple colour. So that's your blue and your red. What we might do here actually is make up our tree colour, and what we'll do is we'll drop this into the back. This is a first, like other trees and stuff, you know, in the back here somewhere. Okay, and I think we'll maybe a bit darker down here. Just drag it up and down here as the first trees and bushes and stuff in the distance there. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to drop a bit of salt in this. So good old table salt. And then just, you know, while it's still sort of damp. You certainly don't want to do this when it's soaking wet, or the salt just dissolves. And you don't want to do it when it's too dry. It's no good either. I've tried all sorts of salt for this. I've tried Himalayan and quite thick salt, and and it just keep on coming back to the old table salt. That made it just got a wee bit too dry on me there. It's blowing a blizzard outside, but the studio is quite warm. Okay, so the best thing to do here is just to allow a wee bit of patience. Just let that salt do its work. And it's not always easy when you're actually doing this on camera, you know, having to start and stop like this, but if you want a good result on that, sometimes it's the only way. So this is just our wee background, and then we're going to build up all the detail. Okay, it's starting to work a wee bit there. Okay, so what we're going to do is just leave us for a wee minute, okay? Okay, folks, it's coming on there. So what I'm doing now is I'm just dropping a wee bit of brown here and there. Okay, so what you want to do here, folks, is you want to brush that salt off. But the reason why I'm brushing off rather than rubbing it off is because of the masking tape, which I want to lose that. So I'm just using a bit of a hard brush, not too hard, and I'm hoping there's nothing wet in there. So these trees are like a greeny brown. So if you want to go ahead and mix up a greeny brown there, that'd be great. Basically, you think about your green. What makes it green? It's blue and yellow. And then when you put a wee bit of red into that, it'll start going brown on you. And that's kind of what you want. And then don't forget to use your wee scrubber beside you there, just to you get the right consistency there, okay? So what we're going to do now is we'll start at this side here, and then we'll just get our brush and just drag it down in the shape of our tree there. So what you can do is you can get a bit of a tissue and kind of just touch it here and there, you know. Now what we'll do is we'll pull the branches out where that's still wet. So we're kind of working on one tree at a time. So you're working between two colours here. You've got your browny green, and then you've got your darker colour there. So remember, it's just an undercoating here. So, okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go in and pull out a few more wee branches and bits and pieces on it. So again, I'm mixing up my darkest colour, my blue, red. Okay, so what we're just going to do is we're just going to pull up wee bits and pieces here and there. Okay, we're getting there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix up a bit of a greeny colour. I'm going to get a wee sponge. Okay, it's just an old household sponge. Okay, I'm going to dip it in here and there. So if you like these and you have a go at them and you're really enjoying them, you know, give them to a friend. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to get all that masking fluid off, all right? We're going to get our oranges, and so we want something that's really, really vibrant here, okay? Okay, so let's start in the middle here. So if you have a couple of brushes on the go here, what you can do is you can have one brush for the yellow and then another brush for your reddy colour. Reddy orangey. Just so you've kind of hit the top of the yellow, and then it's almost like the leaves are turning a wee bit towards the orange. And then see how that works really nice where we had that masked on. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just flick a few bits here and there. Okay, I think we've done enough there. What we're going to do is we're going to get a wee pen, and then we're going to do a wee bit of pen and wash here. So this helps these leaves just to stand out a wee bit. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull out some wee branches and stuff like that. We've got this pen here. But what I'm thinking is wee bits of white stuff here and there. Okay, so I know it probably all looks like a bit of a mess at the moment, but when these all get cut up and laminated, they should look not too bad. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go along the bottom of these here, and I'm just going to put on a signature on each one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tape off here, just the top and the bottom one, alright? And you can start to see how this is going to look. So again, that's why we have these lines up here. So when we're cutting these out, we'll just drop a ruler down, and then we'll just use our wee X-Acto knife, and then we cut them all out. And then what we're going to do is first one that we use for a template, I'd rounded off the edges with a pair of scissors. Basically got a wee lid like that, and use my pencil round to give me that nice edge, and then I use the pair of scissors to cut that off. So what I'm going to do is, when this is all dry and I'm going to cut these all out, I'm going to use this as my template, and then I'm going to turn these over on the back, and then basically use my pencil along that template there, and then cut them all out. And then when they're all cut out, that's the next stage, is when we take it to the laminator. It's not a very expensive laminating machine. And then we'll cut them out, we'll space them in it, leaving about maybe a half an inch gap between each of them. And then we'll put them through the laminator, and then when we get them out, we'll cut them all out, and we'll use a hole punch for the top of them, where we're going to put our tassel through. Okay, folks, so there you go. That's them all cut out, and then it makes an interesting design in itself. If you were to put that on to a black background or something, that would be very interesting. But that would be a different project all together there now. But there you go. So there's them kind of spaced out a wee bit, just letting you see what they would look like if they were divided. Okay, so the next stage of the game is to get them into the laminate pouch and get them all laminated up, and then get them all cut out. I laminated them, and it worked out really well. And then I just got the scissors and just trimmed around the edges in a nice rounded way, so that it's no sharp edges on it. And then this is it with this is one here with a wee tassel on it. So you can pick these up anywhere really, and they're really handy. So I'm really happy with that. I think it turned out really well. Another thing a couple of other things you can do as well, folks. You could even photocopy your artwork. If you don't want to cut it up, you could photocopy it and then print it out on some paper, and you can do it like that if you don't want to destroy your good artwork. But then again, if you have old bits of watercolor experiments knocking around, what a great way to use them up. So I'm really happy with that. What we'll do is we'll see what it looks like in a book. This is one of my favorite artists, Sargent. Just some brilliant work. What a great book, and great artist for inspiration. Okay, so we just pop that in there like that. And there we go. There's our wee hook and tassel, just to remind us where we are in the world. So, folks, have a wee go at that. And be so good to hear what you have done with that. And I'll be looking for more inspiration. So if there's any other things that you would like to see done, do let me know and we'll try to work them into a wee lesson or two, okay? So folks, this is me for now. So just keep them brushes wet and just keep on playing on. And I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.